Raising women's voices, one story at a time. Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. We just got the thumbs up from our sound engineer, which means it's time to start another episode of the She Said Project podcast. Welcome to our friends, our listeners. We've been doing this for a couple years now. This is Jenette Jerzik, National Director of All Things She Said, here in the Illinois Public Media Studios with my lovely co-host,
Kerry Rosso, founder, and I still feel like a rookie. When we get the thumbs up from the sound booth, I still feel like he's encouraging me. Like, you're doing great, Kerry, looking
You got
good.
this.
And so then I'm always, hey, thanks. And then I'm like, oh, wait, it's time to start the podcast. I thought he was just encouraging me.
You know, we've talked to over 75 women now on the She Said Project podcast. We're not babies anymore. We're growing up.
I know. I pinch myself because my favorite thing is to talk to women and hear their stories. And now we get to do it in such a fancy way. It's pretty great.
We're so fancy. And even fancier, we've got our guest today in person in the studio, which is extra special. Welcome, Nicole Frydman, to our lovely podcasting studio setup here. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Well, and speaking of fancy, like every time I think of your story, I think of your fancy outfit.
Oh, yes. Had all the sparkles. Well, that was a thing with our cast was the sparkles. So that was our thing. So I had to.
Their cast brought the shimmy shiny. It's so true.
They brought it.
Yeah.
For sure. It was great.
And so Nicole was representing on stage in her rainbow sparkles. But Nicole, you have only joined the community of Champaign-Urbana for a couple years now. You're new-ish, but you have really taken this community by storm. I just want to say that. You are out there making the world a better place each and every day.
Aw, thank you. That's so sweet. Listen, what is time since COVID? I don't know how we talk about time anymore, but yeah, I came down to help my sister with my niece at the very beginning of COVID. And then, as I like to say, I tumbled backwards into a life. I don't know how you do. Like you do. I don't know how you count like when I moved, like what exact point, I was like officially done with the pre-COVID life and into this one. But I guess since 2020. So that's a decent amount of time now. But it doesn't feel like that, right? Because COVID just stunted everything. So I don't know. I feel new every day, right? People will describe things and places and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I'm new here.
Well, you tumbled into my life and I said, we're casting this little show called That's What She Said. And I think you might have a story or two to tell. And I think I was right because you are a phenomenal performer. And that was your background. You are a trained actress and performer. You lived and worked in, help me out here, New York City and
San Francisco and Chicago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been doing it since I was 2 years old. So it's over 45 years now that I've been on stage in some way, shape, or form. And
which
screen.
Is amazing because you're only 35.
That's right. You've gotten that math absolutely correct.
So that kind of background always gives me pause because I want it to be regular women who stutter or who say and just tell a story. And so I'm always sort of holding my breath of how genuine is this going to feel as opposed to feeling like a performance. Mm-hmm. And man, you killed it. You just felt like it was like nobody else was in the room. Like you were just telling me that story. And yet again, I had to eat my words. Shocking. But it was so beautiful. You felt approachable and you really made everybody feel like I'm just talking to you.
Oh. And we got a huge compliment. Thank you, Kerry. That's so No, I think something that's I think some people don't think about it this way, but I have always thought about it this way: is when I'm performing, I'm not me. I'm not revealing me. I am creating a character, right? And that's also the technique I studied was about external technique. It wasn't the kind of internal technique some actors do, where it's all like their own personal memories. That's where I come from. So if I'm talking about me and being me and it's very different. It's very, very different. So I think, I'm glad to hear that that's what you received as well.
Yeah, it translated for sure.
Yeah.
And it was clear. It was clear, which is hard to do for people sometimes, even people who are really comfortable being on the stage, but now like, oh, gulp, like you want me to talk about me personally.
Yeah.
That is really tough.
Yeah, I think Jenette knew this, that I probably wasn't going to have a lot of need around the public speaking part, right? Because of my performance. performing background. But boy, did I need help with the writing part and the figuring out what story to tell and what I was going to do with this if it was not about a character. I mean, that was where the work was for me.
That is the challenge and also the opportunity that we present. And that's what she said. Yes, you're comfortable on the stage, but guess what? A, there's no script. B, there is no character. We give you permission to talk about you and something that happened to you in your life that could be relatable to women everywhere. And that is not easy for every woman and certainly not easy for every trained actor to drop the character and just be.
I'm great when you give me somebody else's words. Let me tell you, I am freaking fantastic at that.
Well, you know what? You were great with your own words. Let's be honest here. And so let's take a listen to those magical words from that magical night so that our listeners can be caught up. And then we'll dive a little bit deeper into what Nicole shared that night. That's what she said on stage 2023 in our flagship community of Champaign-Urbana. Nicole joined that awesome cast on that awesome night. Let's take a listen to her story. I broke up to stand up.
I was 14 and I'd only just gotten boobs. Freshman year is hard, y'all. And I had to do it in a new place with all new people. But hey, I'm a people person. So even though I did not want to change schools, figured I'd be okay. It's important for you all to know that my mother never met a holiday decoration she didn't like, including clothing that lights up. Yeah, she was always trying to give me some nonsense, making me wear it, but that year, she managed to find me a Hanukkah shirt that I actually thought was kind of cute. Now, Hanukkah had come early that year, so I'd only been at my new school a couple months when it was time to celebrate. And I was kind of excited to wear my cute new shirt and show it off to my new friends. But moments after I stepped onto campus, a friend grabbed my arm and pulled me into the bathroom with a worried look on her face. She said, "Do you have another shirt to change into?" I was now terrified that I had ripped a hole in my shirt and one of my brand new boobs was popping up to say hello. But before I even had a chance to look down to see if it was Boobay or Boobie who was showing her pretty face, she continued. She said, "Nobody here knows you're Jewish yet. And if you change your shirt, you can keep it that way." Thing is, she was actually trying to help. She'd lived in that community her whole life, and she knew all too well how differently people would treat me with this new piece of information, not in a good way. She was being kind to me in the very best way that she knew how. And first, I admit, I got pretty scared. But by that point, I'd already become quite a little activist. See, Mom took me to the picket lines when her teachers' union almost had to go on strike. She took me to knock doors for political candidates and to protests and rallies. And inspired by those experiences, I'd started a club at my junior high school called Kids Who Care, and we raised money for all kinds of things like food and housing insecure people. I wrote to elected officials, and I challenged school leadership on issues that matter to my fellow classmates. So yeah, by that point, standing up for what's right, even when it was scary, was not new to me. So right after that fear, the next thought in my head was how I was definitely not gonna back down in the face of that kind of bigotry. So I stomped out of that bathroom like I was on RuPaul's Drag Race trying to take home the crown. And after all, this was far from my first interaction with anti-Semitism. I'll never forget the bomb threats at my synagogue or the swastikas painted on its walls. I'll never forget the first time I saw the numbers on my grandmother's arm and I asked her about them. She just started softly crying, and Mom and Dad had to take me away someplace else and distract me. You know, growing up Jewish, you always know about the Holocaust, but how do you explain to a 4-year-old about people being branded like cattle and about your own grandmother being one of them? So that conversation would come a bit later when I was a little bit older. So no, this wasn't new to me. And I already knew how to stand tall in the face of hate, bigotry, and oppression. It's something that's been with me my entire life, either through work or volunteering or being that annoying person who posts long political rants on Facebook. That's me, yeah. I stand up But something I didn't realize until fairly recently is that as much as I spent my whole life being vocally brave about issues, or for other people, or against inequality and oppression at large, the one thing I hadn't really done much of was stand up for me. And it's at this point that I tell you that at 40 years old, I broke up with my stepmother. Going through lots of therapy, right? Lots of therapy. I have come to learn that the strong people, those of us who've been put through a lot and therefore can take a lot, sometimes we take too much. Sometimes we don't set healthy boundaries. Sometimes we let people beat us up because, hey, we're tough. We can take it. And that was me all the time. I would quietly acquiesce when I got put down and told about everything that was wrong with me. I would placate those around me, give in on disagreements, apologize when at least there was fault to go around, but more often when there really wasn't much on my side of things. I would smile, and I would nod, and I would do what I was told, and I would agree with every negative thing that got said about me, even when I didn't think those things were negative at all, even when I kind of liked those things about me. I made myself small. I didn't tell people about whole parts of who I am because I knew they wouldn't accept it. I've still never actually told my stepmother that I'm queer. But then again, I broke up with her. And when you break up with someone, they no longer get to take up space in your life. They no longer get the gift of knowing you, much less knowing some of the most important parts about you. It was my birthday, and I was in a musical. And like they'd always done, Dad and Stepmom bought plane tickets to come see me in the show without bothering to ask if the timing of the visit worked for me. It didn't, but wasn't standing up for myself, remember? So instead of doing what I wanted to do for my birthday, I spent 3 days following them around as they did things they wanted to do. Going to the other side of town because they didn't like my part of town, eating where they wanted to eat, shopping where they wanted to shop, or really me standing around while they shopped where they wanted to shop, and just giving in and making myself small in every way. Happy birthday to me! During brunch, shortly before they were to head to the airport to go home, she said to me, I really wish I'd taught you to be a more considerate person. Now, I don't remember what topic we were on. I don't remember the name of the restaurant. I don't remember what time it was, or what I was wearing, or what the weather was like that day. But I will never, not ever in my entire life, forget those exact words. I really wish I'd taught you to be a more considerate person. And something inside me just snapped. A light switch just flipped, and in a flash, I was done. I was done being small, and I was done taking the hits, and I was done placating and agreeing and not standing up for myself. I think I kind of shocked the bejesus out of him when I opened my mouth and actually didn't hold back for a change when I tried for the very first time in my life to say what I really wanted to say and to stand up for me. Thing is, I was really quite bad at it. I was really bad at it, which is really weird considering how much practice I had had at standing up for things that weren't me. You would think all of that experience would come in handy, but it's different. And I was not eloquent. I was not calm, cool, and collected. I was probably not making much sense. But I did it. And then she tried to tell me that I had misheard her. And it was right then in that moment that I realized how big a shift this had been for me, because I just laughed. I just laughed, and it just seemed so absurd that I had been taking this for decades. And then I realized I didn't have to stay there. I could just go. And a sense of freedom and lightness washed over me as I got up and walked away. Now, if this were a movie, from that moment on, I'd be a take-no-nonsense gal who never looked back. It's not, though. It's real life. So, admittedly, my journey from that point has been in fits and starts. I am still not nearly as good at standing up for myself as I am for others. But I'm working on it, because it's work worth doing. And I guess I finally figured out that I'm worth doing it for. And so are you.
This is my biggest takeaway from Nicole's story. We found humor, which we like to do, and we found a very humorous note to start the story on, but still talking about a really difficult topic. And you were really willing to dive right in and talk about growing up Jewish in California in your life. And I mean, I can picture you in that Hanukkah sweater, but that must have been challenging for you.
I mean, listen, I think that there are so many people out there who have some kind of story about a childhood hardship where, they were the butt of the joke, the target, bullied, picked on, made to feel other or outside. And I think, one of the things that was so great about this project is, the way in which you help us find our stories and find the things that we can talk about. They really, as you said, can resonate with other people. And I think that was my sort of entrance into trying to tell my story, was thinking about, what's this universal thing that I think most people can relate to, is some sort of childhood scenario in which you are meant to feel like there is something fundamentally wrong with you and that it sets you apart from everyone else.
I guess people can't see me nodding. My head's about to fall off my shoulders. It's like, yeah. And I think that's the thing. And I think that's what's so beautiful about telling these stories, is because so many of us, when that, whatever the thing is, fill in the blank, it feels like I'm the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am flawed. This is on me. And this person just pointed it out. And now the whole world knows. And the more we all tell these stories, you're like, shut up. Like, it just sort of takes a little bit of the edge off. Like, this is happening to everybody, and you're just saying mean things to me, and I'm going to move along. It's pretty powerful.
I love that you shared that you had been an activist since you were, I don't know, a toddler, out on picket lines, right? And that you grew up never afraid to stand up, never afraid to stand up for what you believed in, and you got to demonstrate that. And then there was this transition to your adulthood where maybe you forgot how to do that a little bit, or at least, like you said,
Yourself.
Standing up for causes, standing up for others. But how is it that we forget to stand up for ourselves?
Yeah, it's, it's one of those things, right? It's so much easier to look at things outside of you, right? And to look at things that are happening to other people, and to go into defense mode. And there's something about that. Whereas standing up for yourself can sometimes feel like an insurmountable challenge, there's also a component of not feeling like you're worth being stood up for, right? That I think, a lot of people, and especially women, because of some of the messaging that we are given since we start to exist and can receive messaging, right? Is that, perhaps we are not good enough. We are not pretty enough. We are not smart enough. We are not whatever enough. And we start to take that in, we start to listen and believe it. And it gets harder and harder to stand up for yourself because you're not quite sure if you deserve to be stood up for. That's a hard thing to overcome.
Yeah, why me?
Yeah.
Who me?
Right.
I hear
Well,
that a
and then
lot.
there's like something that's deep down and maybe like, okay, I can't do it for myself, but I'm either going to practice because I'm going to do it for everybody else, or, that's the only way that you can do it until you find your way to sticking up for yourself, until you stand up, for yourself.
I'm literally hadn't had this epiphany before, but I'm having it as we're having this conversation right now. And I'm saying, like, suddenly my brain is telling me that, like, oh, you know what it is? It's that, like, I didn't deserve being stood up for. And standing up for others is one of the ways in which I can try to be a good enough person who deserves to be stood up for. Like, that was literally like a way for me to reach into being worthy enough, right? And so that was like feeding that need for myself, right? And I guess I needed 40 years of it before I believed it. I don't know, but this is just, listen, this is like one of the best therapy sessions I've had in a while, y'all.
And it's free.
Really?
What?
I was going to send her a bill. I
know,
swear.
like,
Invoices
I'm
on the
ready.
way.
My insurance will be.
Well, I think it happens all the time with whatever the topic is. I can be like really passionate about something, and then often I'll be halfway through it, or I'll be hearing someone else's, and then I'll have that like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do that. So I'm like nodding at somebody like, yeah, right. And then I'm like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
I need help
Oops.
in that department.
Oops, I feel both
Yeah.
seen and attacked.
Yes, I am all of the above. Yes, that is exactly it.
So what were some of the reactions and feedback that you got after sharing your story from your family, from your community?
It was really touching. What was really interesting was the number of total strangers in the audience who came up and the first time there was this funny moment. Someone said to me, "Oh my gosh, I relate to that so much." And without even thinking, my response was, "I'm so sorry you relate to that." But then it just kept happening. I mean, audience member after audience member was sort of having this same moment with me. And it was like, oof, gut punch that, it was a tough story to tell, and then hear all these people going like, oh, it's kind of my story too. But, the fact that you can reach people like that is truly life-changing. So I'm really, really grateful that I got this opportunity.
That is the power of sharing stories, for sure. And we're not here to throw anyone under the bus. That's not the goal here. You approached a very specific relationship in your life, but obviously there had been so much history that led you to that moment. It wasn't just that day in New York City, right? It wasn't that moment.
Yeah.
But the goal here is to open hearts and open minds and help people realize, it'd be amazing not just to witness people who are relating to your side of the story, but I'd be very curious how many minds were open to seeing the other side of the story. Like, oh, do I do that to people who I love and care about? Do I give them so much guidance and advice thinking it's coming from a good place when it's really harming them?
We are always the hero of our own stories, right? That's true, no matter who you are. There's also this thing, and I didn't make this up, read a lot about it, right? Where we always think about our intent, and then we always think about other people's impact, right? So all we ever do for ourselves is like, but I meant for this to be a good thing. I meant for this to be loving. I meant for this to be positive. I meant. And when it's other people, to us, all we think about is, but the impact you had was harmful, but the impact you had was harmful, but the impact you had was harmful. And the reality of human relationships is that we need to add a little bit of both into both sides, right? We need to be thinking through all of our most difficult interactions from both an intent and an impact standpoint for ourselves as well as for others, right? Sometimes it's easier to give grace on the other side, but sometimes it's not so easy to allow yourself to acknowledge potential impact, even when there was no ill intent. That can be a really, really hard thing to do, right? And to acknowledge that maybe you were the harmful one in that moment, right? So I don't know if there was anybody who maybe took a moment and thought about that out of my story. Wow, that would be a gift, right? Because that wasn't what I'm going for, or anything. But I mean, if there was, that's like, hey, bonus.
But I'm a parent raising two girls, and it gave me pause to think, am I giving them the right messaging? I think that I'm creating a world where they get to make choices and be independent and be all that they can be. But, sometimes it is worth stopping and checking yourself and going, I love the way you put that. What's my intent and what's my impact? You got to look at both sides. That would just blew my mind. I'm going to use that. And I hope our listeners get that little nugget to take with them as well, because that was very valuable.
There are a lot smarter people than I am who've written about it. Intent versus impact. Check it out if you're interested. There's some really good stuff out there.
You can have this knowledge too.
Like Nicole said, I think this was the best therapy session I've had in a while.
Really?
Oh, there you go.
It really was, because when you were talking, I was thinking it's yet again, it's both things. You know, I thought, gosh, how many times have I, but I meant,
Right.
it doesn't matter what I meant if I
Right.
did harm.
That's right. That's absolutely right. But it's incredibly hard to do that, right? It's hard to do that to the other people. It's hard to do it for yourself. Yeah, look, being a human and having relationships, turns out it's hard. We're all going to mess it up. Probably a lot.
Yep.
Grace for ourselves, grace for others.
That is the lesson here. I'm going to take it.
Why are you looking at
Wrap it up.
me? I don't know why she looked over at me when she said that.
Wink, wink.
Are you listening, Carrie? Yeah. Okay, fine.
No, it's all good. I also want to celebrate for a second here. We also took advantage of Nicole's amazing talents and had her sing at the end of the show. Oh, her show was the 10-year anniversary show, by the way. It was February of 2023, and that's what she said started in 2013. So we chose to make it a bit special, and Nicole and the rest of her cast chose to sing the song Brave by Sarah Bareilles. Or I chose it.
I was going to say, you chose it.
But I...
And luckily, there were multiple singers in the cast.
It was-
Come on, let's not forget
was
those
a
other
beautiful-
beautiful voices as
Beautiful
well.
ensemble for sure. You really shined, and I loved it. Loved it. Gave me chills.
You know, listen, I hate when someone forces me to sing. No, just kidding.
You were just waiting for the question.
I mean, there is a microphone in front of her right now. Can't stop it.
Look, you just spend time long enough with me on any given day and you're going to hear singing. I burst into singing. I make up little songs. Anytime someone says something makes me think of a song, I'm singing. Like, that's what it is. That's what spending time with me is. So, you know, when Jenette asked, I was like, just tell me what part.
Yep, I'm in.
Exactly what she said. Yep. Just give me the song. Give me the words. I'm in. I'm in. And that was,
great.
it was such a joy to work with you and your whole cast. I mean, that was a very special cast. Like you said, they chose into the sparkly side of life, and they were all sequined up. But just a beautiful group of women who really did support each other. And I'm so glad you said yes. I'm so glad you got to come along. And I'm so glad we get to share your story on this platform with even more women who can benefit from this opportunity to reflect a little bit on, you know, intention and impact. And are you standing up for yourself? Like, are you believing that you're worthy to stand up for yourself today?
No, that's it. And I got to say, like, I've met so many other women who've done other cities or other casts or other years or whatever it is. And it's clear to me that this is exactly the experience that everyone gets to have who goes through this, to build this sisterhood and to find these bonds. And, you know, some of these women I see semi-regularly or regularly. We have other things in common and other stuff we see each other through. And then others of these women, I hadn't seen at all since the event. And then I, you know, would run into someone literally like last week, and it's like hugs and like it's a bond. It's a lifelong bond. It just is. It's just such a special, unique experience that, you know, changes you, and you go through it with this core group of people. You know, I mean, Jeanette knows this because she's done theater for many years as well. Like, this is what happens when you have a cast, right? But a lot of the women who do this maybe don't have that experience, and they don't understand what it is to build that family, and how even though it's a few months of your whole life, it is a fundamental moment in your life.
For me, I didn't do theater, but I did sports. And so I've often said, the women that when we started this, we had all been on teams. And I think it's very similar to the theater world. We were used to having these built-in just support and this little family that you would go through all of this hard work and supporting each other. And then we grow up, and then all of a sudden you're just out in the world and you don't have that built-in cast or team. And that's what I think that we're all seeking out again. You know, we're all out here trying to make our way, and I'm going to burst into a Cheers song. This is your cue.
Oh.
Yeah, where everybody knows your name, but we're like, we all are looking for that again. And that's what each cast, it is beautiful to watch each cast form that bond again. And I think there it is. That's what we're really looking for.
Yeah, as adult women, we're recreating that experience for a brief period of time. And it does stay with you, just like your childhood sports teams. I'll tell you, she's taught me a lot about the sports balls, and I've taught Carrie
Well, this is taking a turn. But a lot of butt slaps. The first few butt slaps took her off guard
Took
and
me a
kind of
minute.
frightened her.
Took me a minute.
Yeah, we don't butt slap in theater. We just
No.
hug a lot.
Yeah.
We do, and
Yeah.
I've had to
We're
teach
doing a
So
lot
she
of
makes me
hugging,
hug.
a lot
I'm-
of cuddling, like a lot of
No.
just you stand
Yeah.
next to a theater friend and you're already arms
Yeah.
around each other.
She
just like that
tries,
comfort
and then
level.
I'm awkward, and I start like drooling on her shoulder, like, I don't know about this, but I can just slap your ass, and we'll all call it a day.
Yeah, listen, as long as you know each other's languages now, you're good. You know,
That's exactly it. I start doing theater warm ups, and she
Yeah.
starts slapping.
Yep.
she's doing a high five circle.
We got this. We got this. I have to say, this has been one of the most fun episodes of the She Said Project podcast because we had Nicole right here making us
Absolutely.
laugh, making us smile,
Absolutely.
and making us think. I mean, what a great
Doggone it.
package is that?
You know,
You are the complete package, my friend.
I try to bring all the spices.
You do.
I just bring the milkshakes. I love your laugh, too.
I have a crazy laugh. You either love it or you hate it. There's no in between with my laugh. I mean, and many people are on the not so happy side of it. But I can't be anybody but me.
That's it.
I love that. And we don't want you to be anyone but you. And same with our friends and our listeners. Go keep being you. Stand up for yourself. You know, share your stories. Find a That's What She Said near you. Start a That's What She Said near you. Enjoy the podcast and share it with others. We're so grateful that you were here to join us today. Nicole, thank you for being here. Our friends at Illinois Public Media, we are so grateful. And thank you for listening once again to the She Said Project podcast.
Butt slaps all around.
Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast in partnership with Illinois Public Media. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project and That's What She Said LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com. This podcast was made possible with support from Carl and Health Alliance and presented by Sterling Wealth Management, empowering women to live their best lives. And we're out.
Thank you so much. Oh, my gosh.
That was
We could do like
perfection.
hours.
Yeah, no, that could have been a whole routine. Like, that was fantastic.
Oh, my gosh. It was
Not my
so
first
good.
one, no.
Was it really?
No.
No.